Yo, 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 guys, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of the Warriors Invitational. It's your boy Gautam with my boys Matt and Chuck. Gentlemen, welcome back. It's opening night, technically right now, or not technically, it is opening night when we're recording this one right here, with the Celtics and the Knicks kicking off the new season. But it's opening night eve for the Warriors here, so I thought we'd get our final off season kind of summer pod and ramping up to the season kicking off here tomorrow. But before we get into everything, gentlemen, how we doing? Matt, Chuck, talk to me, boys.
Oh, we're doing wonderful out here. It's a opening night every year. Just hits so hard. Like, damn, we're really back in this. It is the greatest. Matt, how you doing down there?
Yeah, good, dude. I'm ready. I'm feeling like optimistic to whatever extent I'm emotionally capable. So like a six, you know what I mean? No, looking forward to it though. So it's a good stretch to start. It's already Knicks are getting their asses kicked right now, but it's already fun watching some NBA basketball.
We're back, baby. We're
Hmm.
back. Warriors back tomorrow. With a lot of fun stuff we're gonna get in today. A little bit. I don't know if it's necessarily different, but kind of just some rapid fire thoughts and takes on the season. Predictions, roster stuff. Before we get into everything, we did have some news. Obviously, after the preseason games ended, Moses Moody locked in, man. 3 years, $39 million deal. Moses got his extension done at a if you're looking at some of these contracts, man, an absolute steal for Moses, and at least given the potential that we think that the kid has, and hopefully will show this year. Um, Talk us through the contract, Matt. What do you feel, man? We've been big Moses guys. I think all three of us at some point have caped for Moses to have a bigger role in the rotation, and just kind of give the kid a chance. But obviously, Steve Kerr saying it after it, but kind of a guy that they've wanted to keep and got to keep at a really really nice price tag there. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I think Moody is a word. If Moody had gotten the run he was supposed to get over the last few years, he's probably closer to a 20 million player than he is a $13 million player. Um, with that being said, he hasn't. And this is a freaking bargain, man. Because I think Moody is, when the time comes, I think he could be a starting wing in the league, like a good starting wing. And right now, you don't get starters for $13 million. So, um, whatever the Warriors choose to do going forward, they either have a good, what we think is a seventh, eighth, ninth guy on this roster, or in a certain trade scenario where they keep him. It's an easy guy to toss in as a two or a three. Um, no, great deal. I'm in. I mean, Mike Dunleavy's he's doing pretty well. This is his year and a half as a GM. Um, big win. Give me more Moses. But this better fucking mean our guy gets more minutes though. I'm sorry. He's got to be like a rotation mainstay at this point. What are we doing? Chuck?
Yeah, I'm with you on all the points. I think Moses deserves to be playing a lot more. I think the contract is a pretty good indicator that he will be playing more because you look pretty stupid to give a guy a 3 year extension, pay him what he's worth, and then just let him sit and get like occasional spot minutes. So looking for a real role there. I think what's interesting too is when you see all of these contracts that are getting handed out, extension deadline day for that rookie class. So many of the players you see that get the deals on those days are being paid for what they think they can be or what the team thinks they can be. And Moses isn't like the star level upside that you see from a lot of these other guys, but I think what's interesting about his deal is he got paid for what he is. $13 million dollars a year is like barely above mid-level exception money. Like that's the contract they gave to DeAnthony Melton, more or less. And you're paying him like a good, not great rotation wing. So he could theoretically be the same player he's been last year for the next 3 years, and you're still getting value out of it. If he takes further steps defensively, if he gets a little more offensive juice, like as a movement shooter or a guy that can occasionally, pull up off dribble handoffs, add a little more variety in how he gets his shots, this could be huge value. I mean, like you said, Matt, he could easily start looking like a $20 million a year guy in the beginning part of the season. And then you're sitting back going, wait, we have 3 whole years of this? Like, this is massive. So, Yeah, I'm very excited about this. It's tough that they couldn't get a deal done with Kuminga, but ultimately I think it's probably the right move for both sides. It's hey, you've shown a lot of really good flashes. Last year was your best year, but we need to wait and see how this goes for another year, and then we'll hash things out in restricted free agency.
100%. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys on the Moses point. I'm just gonna toss this in there. I feel like we floated it around last year, kind of jokingly, but if Moses does get a lot more rotation time, and as he should, he's definitely showed it in the preseason. I'm just convinced this whole minutes thing with Moses has just been a ploy to get him on that kind of a contract, man. Like you said, Matt, you were saying earlier, like guys are getting paid based on what they can be, and if you're paying Moses Moody with that same kind of thought process, like it's a lot more than $13 million a year. And I think it's a solid deal for both sides, given what Moses has done so far in the league. But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a nice little conspiracy theory going forward. But no, regardless, yeah, you guys hit on it, man. Like great value, upside's huge, and the floor for this guy is already like going to be a solid rotation piece. Chuck, you brought up the Kuminga non-extension, and another guy who was looking to get paid like a lot of these guys that we saw in terms of betting on his value currently, but more so for the future. We got to talk about this like Kuminga player profile, I guess, a little bit, because there's a lot of different stuff floating around. Like there's some guy, Kuminga is, his representatives and people believe he's that next Pascal Siakam, Kawhi Leonard type player. You've got people on Twitter talking about like Cam Thomas vibes for Kuminga. Aaron Gordon was like a name that was floating around. I know there's a couple. I know Chuck, you had a little back and forth with Andy over at Light Years for a little bit, but there's just so much different, I guess, kind of takes of what Kuminga is in the ceiling. But what I think you kind of hit on it earlier, Chuck, like the wait and see kind of mentality for the Warriors, and honestly, even Kuminga, works out great. I think it's going to be, helpful for this season. But just talk me through like that JK, just JK as a player, like what should we expect for JK, and like are we having unrealistic expectations compared to like maybe what this team needs or what he's going to show this year?
So what I thought was interesting, and I'm glad you brought up that whole Aaron Gordon thing, because I thought that was really just like kind of a funny person to compare him to, because a lot of the thing with Aaron Gordon is he came in, he was young, he was really athletic, and he was miscast as a scoring option on a lot of his teams. So he makes this trade to Denver. The scoring's less relied upon. He was already a really good and smart defender. So the idea was, well, let's just, take him and turn him into a defense first guy and kind of try to narrow down what he does offensively. That's not going to be the case with Jonathan Kuminga. He has a lot of issues with instincts, floor reading that make him a really rough rotational defender. He struggles with knowing where to be. And that kind of thing is going to take time. If you're not born with that, it's tough to learn it. And then you look at the other side of the ball. He can drive extremely well. The mid-range game is looking legit. He's comfortable with his pull-up three, with catch and shoot threes. So I think the Warriors would be silly to try to fit him into a role and try to drastically change what he does as a player, because it could be a disservice to them in the future. You can find good role players, maybe not at an Aaron Gordon level, but you can find guys who can plug in holes defensively, who can rebound, who can rim run, that kind of thing. You can't find guys that are at his athleticism and scoring touch profile. They those players never are able to be acquired. You can't just go out and trade for one without giving up all of your assets. So I think it's a bet on, yes, there are options right now that could fit better. I think that's why Moses got extended pretty quickly, because they thought, hey, this is a rotation guy we can bank on right now. With Kuminga, they're making the bet of this could be the archetype we need if he starts to hit those higher end outcomes on the scoring, cleans up a little more defensively. So, yeah, I think a lot of what you're seeing here is the Warriors know how rare it is to get those high level scoring wings with his kind of athleticism. And they're going to be smart about this. If he plays like a max guy next year, then screw it, give him the max. And if some other team comes along and tries to poach him in restricted free agency, which isn't going to happen because there's no cap space anymore, then you just get to bring him back on that deal, and you're happy either way. So, yeah, I think people are going to kind of make a mountain out of a molehill with this one. Kuminga is going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, I would only push back a little bit on like the certainty of that last part. I agree with everything else, obviously. Um, yeah, it's just the guy. There's no urgency here. I fully agree with the idea that this is not a big deal. Like there was truly no reason for the Warriors to go for it. Um, it's just funny, man. Nobody has any fucking clue what this guy's value is though right now. Like we know the Warriors don't even know how much they value him, obviously, because if they thought he was like certainly a max player, they would have maxed him, right? If they thought he wasn't that, they would have traded him, and they didn't do either of those things. So it's just they're a confusing group. But I will say, I think until the season's done, until the trade deadline passes, I don't think Kuminga strikes me as a safe guy. I think for all the reasons you said about um, the Warriors having control of Kuminga in restricted free agency, another team might like to have that same control, right? It's a nice asset to have. Because like you said, Chuck, no one's got cap space. So if you're trading for Kuminga, you're getting that option of like, hey, we can still see how this guy's doing and how much we're going to pay him, which gives the Warriors a little more leverage in any trade scenarios if they do want to start um, potentially dangling him. Otherwise, though, no, I wasn't. I didn't. It didn't strike me as a big deal. I hope it doesn't turn into Kuminga thinking he has to prove himself. I think we've kind of learned, especially with the Warriors, the best way to get paid is to play like a Warrior, and you tend to find your way. Um, that's it, though. I got nothing else. I think it was a Moody getting done made total sense. Kuminga not getting done was kind of my prediction. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what that starting lineup is, and I'm assuming JK is gonna be in there. Just obviously given with the stuff from last season, obviously he went to the media at some point when he wasn't getting those minutes, and really did well when he started last year, and kind of flashes that we see in the preseason. So I would be surprised if he wasn't there, but again, we know that the starting position is something that is important for Kuminga. There's a scenario in which he doesn't start, and that's very possible just with the depth that this team has, and everything like that. So, if Kuminga's not in the starting lineup, then I think I'd start to say, is he more valuable as a trade asset than somebody they're actually going to bank some money on? But yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting kind of say how it plays out. But yeah, I think in terms of the whole Kuminga stuff, like you drafted him to 7. He was a project. This is year 4. And this is the time where you kind of see that return on investment. And if he's that guy, he's like you said, Chuck, he's gonna get that. He's gonna get paid in the offseason. So it's in the Warriors' best interest to have to shell out a big bag for him, because that means hopefully got close to championship, 1-1 or something like that. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. But yeah, I'm with you guys there. Surprised or not surprised at either outcome. All right, boys. Got the news done. Got the predictions out, or the predictions are here. It's prediction time, man. Let's start off record and seeding. It's always the fun one, and there's always going to be some talks about where the Warriors are, especially this year. You're seeing people having them missing the plan. You see them again back in that plan mix, and there's a lot of people that have the Warriors finishing in that top 6 and above 50 wins. So a lot of I think the Warriors over under for wins is 43.5. So we can play around with that one as our kind of baseline, or we can extend it a little higher. But up to you. But let's get started with the record predictions. Matt, talk to me, man. What are you feeling? What's seed's tough, but just with the rest of the West, but kind of just that range of where they're gonna finish this regular season.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 47 and 35. Steph had a crazy healthy season last year for the most part, right? It's rare for a guy his age, rare for a guy his size. I don't think we get that again. I think we get closer to 60, 65 games for our guy 30. I think this team's really good, to be clear, but I think that's the only thing is just that Steph missed very few games last year. I know Draymond missed a ton, and we'll get into that. But with that being said, this team needs Steph without a trade. At least we talked about it before. They're going to struggle to score the basketball. You know what? I'm kind of saying this shit. I'm starting to change my mind, man. They're kind of more equipped to survive a Steph absence than they are a Draymond absence. No, I'm sticking with it. I'm going 47-35, but I don't feel good about it. I never do. So, but for the reasons I said, primarily health. I think it's just Steph's old, man. He's old. He's still great. Top 5 player in my mind, but gonna miss some games.
Doctor?
Yeah, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think the when you have a roster that's this old, and also guys like Melton who have the chronic injury issues, it's always risky. But I think you're around the right range. I have them at 49 and 33. Again, seeding is brutal because that could be the 10 seed in the West this year. It could be the 4 seed. Like I have no idea. So I'm gonna kind of fall like towards the middle. I think they are the 7 seed, and I think that they will host a little play-in. You know, we're going back to the demonic evil zone that is the NBA play-in, I think.
Playing 47 and 49. Yeah, I think, dude, 74 men. No, I'm playing. I think they're a 50-win team, man. I said this earlier. I think Matt, you kind of touched on it. I think they have the depth to survive a Steph layoff, and obviously Steph's getting older. But I'm just excited for these young guys, Pods, Moody, Kuminga. Wiggins for me is a huge X factor, especially, hopefully they run out that starting lineup with I really want to see that one as the starting lineup, the Steph, JK, Wiggins one. And but yeah, I think this team has a lot of depth. I love the free agent acquisitions. I think Kyle Anderson's going to be great. Just a great little Draymond backup, can be that point forward kind of Sean Livingston-esque, 6'7" type of point guard who can kind of or handle the ball, but play in that forward spot defensively. Buddy Hield, I think, is fantastic off the bench. I think he's going to be a microwave scorer. I love Melton. So it's a lot of fun pieces on this team. I think they're athletic. They can shoot the three. They've showed that in the preseason. Hopefully it kind of sticks, but I don't see why they can't be, a top, I want to say top five, but I'll say top six team in the West. Just last year we saw it. They were, even with everything going on last year, they were right in that, mix of avoiding the play-in at in some form or fashion down the stretch. So I'm sure it's going to be close, but I think the Warriors are just a better equipped team to handle some injuries. And again, when Draymond was there last season, they were on a 50+ win pace. I mean, can't say that right now in full certainty, but don't anticipate Draymond getting another lifeline of punching some guys. So I'm assuming that he's going to stay on the court, behavior wise. So yeah, I mean, I'll go with 50, 51, 51 and 50 and 32. I'll say solid 50-win team, top six. And yeah, I think yeah, top six. Stay out of that plane, man. That's my biggest concern. I don't care where it is on the 1 through 6. Just stay out of that plane.
I didn't say seed. This isn't gonna make any fucking sense. I want to be clear about this first. I think this is a top six team in the West with the 47 win threshold still being in place. Do with that what you will. It doesn't make sense, and I can actually almost mathematically guarantee it's not gonna fucking work out that way. But I'm going with that. Six seed at worst, 47 wins. That's me.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
All right.
All right,
Hell
next
yeah.
one. All right, one non-Draymond or Steph player most likely to be on the roster after the deadline. And this is a fun one because I'm sure this is going to change just week by week, who knows? But Matt, talk to me.
Yeah, the most likely guy to be on the roster after the deadline. This is a weird one because it's truly like this is such a, collection of tradable contracts now that this team has. Um, I kind of think it's Kyle Anderson. I think he's like I know it's a really weird thing to say, but if this team trades for a star and they actually, let's say if an actual star pops available, like I'm sorry if it's I don't know what's going to happen with the Bucks. I hate to speculate, Giannis trade anything because you don't trade guys like that. But if a guy like that becomes available, the Warriors are sending Moody, Kuminga, Podziemski, in every pick they have. Like they are going to do that. You know what I mean? If a guy like that becomes available, that's going to happen. Um, I kind of just think Kyle Anderson's a perfect Warrior. I think he's a perfect Steve Kerr player. He plays like Andre Iguodala type basketball. He's backup 3 through 5. Uh, he's insurance for everyone from Wiggins all the way to TJD in some ways, not for the same reasons. Obviously, he's not like a role threat, not a bouncy guy, but just as far as having a functional forward or center, right? It's a guy that can do all those things. So it's a weird take. I think he's as safe as anyone, though.
I lost
Oh,
Matt there, but um, Kyle Anderson, that was a good pick, man. He sniped me, Chuck. I was literally wait. I didn't think either of you guys would pick Kyle Anderson, but I agree with Matt. I think he kind of fits in with like that quintessential kind of warrior guy. I think having a backup to Draymond both offensively and not defensively on the same level, but a guy with length, a guy that can be that ball handler for you. I just don't see Kyle Anderson, and he's on a pretty decent contract. So it's not like a massive salary thing either way. I think they can get other guys out there. But Matt, welcome back, bro. We lost you there for a sec. But Kyle Anderson, you sniped me now, and I was telling Chuck, snipe me. I was thinking of that one as well.
Yeah, I'm and now that I honestly didn't even consider Kyle, so that's like I think that's perfect because there's just no way like I don't see any star trade they would be making where the team would like want him back because if you're trading away the kind of star that they're trying to go for, he'd probably be there and yeah they'd have to give up the farm. Um, the reason I picked my guy Brandon Pajemski is because I mean, as a prospect, I think he's their best fit of immediately impactful and at a position of major need, but also like has a bunch of long term upside. And you could see a world where this guy could be their second best ball handler, maybe third most reliable scorer, a good defender. Uh, the only reason I have him number one is because if there's a trade they wanted to make, for that kind of star. I don't think this happens at the deadline because most teams just do not trade that level of guy at the deadline. At that point, a lot of teams probably think they don't have it. They've kind of decided it's not their year. So it becomes a little more difficult to really get in as many teams in the conversation as you want. Those guys typically just get traded in the offseason. But Matt, you sold me so much. I'm putting him at a dead even tie with Kyle.
Yeah, if I had to guess another player, I'd probably guess Trace just because he just provides something that the Warriors don't really have otherwise in an athletic big. But yeah, Kyle Anderson was a good one. And then I guess on the flip side, Chuck, who's most likely or least likely to be on the roster post trade deadline? A lot of names that could go here. I feel like there's one that we might all have, but Matt, yeah, you're off mute. All right, perfect. Who you got least likely?
The least likely to be in the roster has got to be Andy Dubs himself, Andrew Wiggins. Listen, I don't know what to say anymore, man. I hope he has a great season. I truly do. I'm gonna root for Wiggins forever, second best player in a title team. That you don't lose that kind of thing. There are too many guys around him that are no pun intended waiting in the wings. Um, and he had the biggest contract on the team outside of Steph and Draymond, whom aside from a Draymond explosion, which we'll get to in a bit, it is the most likely to be moved. If the Warriors do trade for a star, they need that $26 million to be sent out, no matter what else is attached to it, basically. So if you made me guess, I would say Andrew Wiggins is probably not a Warrior after early February.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Andrew Wiggins, man. Like again, if we don't end up moving Wiggs, it means that he's playing at that level that we know at 2022. So hoping it's not, but yeah, I think just in terms of guys you can maybe make a swing for, it sounds like the front office is going to be very fluid with this roster. If there's a move to be made and the team is trending in the right direction, I think they're not going to be afraid to pull the trigger, even if that means shaking things up a little bit. So yeah, I think Wiggins, and then honestly, Kuminga, I guess would be my next bet. I guess my hot take would be I don't think both of those guys are on the roster come February, like either or. It's going to be one or the other. I don't think they're both going to be on the same team.
I think I've said that both of the last 2 years. I'm not saying it fucking again.
Fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Again, I hope.
Yeah, it feels like if they are, then obviously it means both those guys have proven that they could fit and everything's going well. Or No, that's like the only way it works. I think that if anything, those are the two guys that are going to get moved. If there's a deal, if some sort of package is going to center around Wiggins or Kuminga, maybe both, depending on who the trade is for. So, yeah, those two guys, and again, it's kind of up in the air, and a lot of this is fluid. But I would be because it just feels like that Wiggins and Kuminga trade is kind of coming to a head. You gotta have to choose one or pray that it works with both of them. Otherwise, there's enough meat on either one of their bones to get some good return and get a guy, just get a guy.
Yeah, I I considered Andy. I think the problem is just he's got a high salary, and whoever they're trading for at that salary would be kind of impromptu. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if next offseason is the time when he's gone for the same reasons that I was kind of saying Pajemski's protected. But yeah, Wiggins is high up that list. My number one guy I had to pick, unfortunately, uh, Gary Payton II. I think there's just a lot of reasons why it makes sense. They have, I think, arguably the most depth at kind of the non-ball handling defenders and wings category. There's a lot of guys who can get minutes ahead of him. And, if he gets, like, all due respect to Gary, if it gets to the point where he has like a real solidified 20, 25, even, 28 minutes a game, like off the bench role, whatever the hell led to that is so bad that the season is probably over. If you're 11th, 12th guys having to play like seventh, eighth man minutes. So he's pretty expendable from a roster construction standpoint. And also, the guy is making $9.1 million on an expiring deal. So if you go out and make a smaller move, like maybe try to upgrade a role player position or package him with someone else, he's likely to go. Now, Moody is more or less off the table for trades because he's got poison pills, so makes it a little tougher to put salaries together. But I think another thing too is don't be surprised if the Warriors again try to do some deadline moves to save a little bit of money, and if they're trying to swap one player for one player that makes a little bit less, who they think is like an equal capable guy to step up in the rotation if needed, then they do that, or just out and out dump him, save the money, try to get some picks back, or uh, yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons why Gary's the most likely to be on the move.
I would only that's a great choice, Chuck. That's a great choice. Part of me kind of thinks that both Gary and Looney. I don't. I'm not even going to call him Gary again. That sounds strange. He's GP or Looney. They kind of have. To me, they have like step protection almost though, just part of this. Like I'm pretty sure Steph and GP are boys. Um, I truly think Steve Kerr would sacrifice like quite a few humans to save Looney's life. I don't think it's like the trolley problem with Steve Kerr and Looney is not a problem for Steve Kerr. He's fucking fine. He's setting that train wherever Looney is not. Um, yeah, that's the only thing. That's the only reason why though. Like, outside of those reasons, those are the two most functionally tradable contracts that this team has. And again, bring it back to Wiggins. If Wiggins is going and you need to get into the mid 40s for a star contract coming back, just letting everybody know you can't do it without Looney and Gary Payton going out most likely. So Chuck, great choice.
Yeah, you hit the nail on.
Yeah, I think too. Like we know Steph at this point. Yeah, like GP2 and Looney are his boys, but if there's like some
You
important
can get
piece
Jimmy
to make,
Butler with shipping those two off, like you're getting that. Like Steph's not going to
or
be.
like I'm sure there's some kind of like consulting process from the GM at this point where they talk to Steph about moves they're going to make. And I think if they walk into Steph and they're like, "Hey, there's this guy. We think he's going to be a really good fit for us, but his salary basically adds up to GP2 and Looney and maybe like some filler if it's like in that 20 to $25 million range." Is Steph going to say no if he's convinced that that's a team that's going to make, like, if he's convinced it's a move that's going to make the team better, he's going to do it. I know those are his guys, but like thankfully we have a practical superstar who has the ear of his GM because he's clearly not afraid to like has see his friends go off to other teams if it means that they're going to be better and have a better chance to compete for a championship.
I agree. I agree overall. I don't think Steph nixes it, but I think it's got to be the right guy. You know,
Speaking of,
Yeah,
man, it, who's the most likely star they trade for? If there is this move that's made, we're throwing out names: Kuminga, Wiggins, CP2, Looney. Um, who's the star they get back? Who's a realistic, trade candidate this year? I know Giannis is a pipe dream ish right now. Obviously, came out with saying how Giannis is going to get traded if they don't want to ring. Maybe you never know.
that guy, man, that guy having the gaslighting audacity to say
Yeah, I mean, I read that and
is
I was like,
insane, man.
he just knew like the Bay Area sports media was about to take that up because
Oh,
he
geez.
knows, man. He probably like Steph. He has ears everywhere. So doubt Giannis is on the move, but like a realistic start. Like obviously Jimmy Butler is one name that comes up. You have a guy who's going to be a free agent. Don't know how that's working out. There's obviously a little bit of friction there in Miami. Zach LaVine, another guy who's healthy, looks good so far in the preseason. Contract a little bit of an issue, but kind of in a role wise gets a lot ticks a lot of boxes for what this Warriors team would really need and would definitely like boost them into that top tier in the West. So who's that guy? Yeah, Matt. Who you toss out Giannis, man? What are the names you got?
Well, to be clear, Giannis, I think is not happening. If I had to guess.
Come on, bro.
Additionally, I'm sorry to say, if Giannis is getting traded, OKC is going to snag Giannis. I'm calling. I'm sorry. That team has no. They have no reason not to. Truly, like there's no reason that Thunder would not get Giannis. It just would happen. The thing that happens just is. So, no, I'm. This is going to be weird. I kind of think it's Levine, and I know it's odd, but here's why. This they could turn this into a Wiggins scenario. I'm talking Wiggins 2020 trade or 2019 trade when they got that 7th pick back with him. There's room to toss in. I'm sorry to say, maybe Kuminga in that deal even and get back a pick in a trade for Levine. All of a sudden, I'm sorry you can hate on Levine. The guy's a scorer. He can put the ball in the rack. Good cutter, great shooter, all that. I just feel like there's a opportunity there for a guy like Mike Dunleavy who might be, we're not sure, but he might be cutthroat. You know what I mean? He did Jordan Poole pretty dirty, so he might be willing to make a deal like that where Wiggins, Kuminga, and some other stuff go out. You bring back Levine, you bring back like a top 4 protected pick, and maybe even this year's draft. I don't know if the Bulls do that. I would guess probably not, but if you can get some kind of top 3, 4 protection on that pick in the next 2 years, along with Zach LaVine, uh, you're feeling pretty good. And this team, once again, they have the depth to survive sending out any number of combinations of pieces. So that's where I'm at. I'm saying Levine in kind of a Mike Dunleavy type, Bob Myers esque swindling deal. Chuck.
yeah. I think there's a couple things. So I'm interested in that idea. I do kind of agree with your point too. Like Giannis to the Thunder would be very funny and terrifying. But yeah, like Levine, there's a lot of rumors floating around. He's interesting, but it's a lot of salary. We know his kind of injury issues. But the guy I have my eye on, what if I told you that there was a younger, less injury prone, and some would argue just as good version of Zach LaVine who makes half as much money in Portland? His name is Anthony Simons. He was signed to an extension by the old regime. They have a new GM in there now. We all know what happens with new GMs and guys that were signed on previous deals, especially when you draft multiple guards in the successive draft after that guy was signed to his deal. Um, Only makes $25 million. So theoretically, the Warriors wouldn't even have to trade any of their major pieces. They could make it happen with the salary for the role players and picks. Um, this one feels likely to me, not only because of the fit. I mean, I don't want to say likely, like, oh, it's going to happen, but if they were to make a star move for a star, I think it would be this guy because yes, Warriors wouldn't have to give up a top piece. They could theoretically get more high end talent and a legitimate number 2 scorer without having to break the bank in terms of their prospects. I don't think they have to give up any of their big guys. I think Portland would be more than happy to do it for picks and role player salary that they can clear off the books. But I mean, we know that Portland and the Warriors have had trade negotiations in the past. Like those are two front offices that historically talk to each other a lot. So yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes too. And I have to double check on. I'm wondering if Terry Stotts coached him before. I'm forgetting when he got fired
I feel like he got
from the
fired
Blazers.
earlier
It might
than
have been 1 year of overlap if I had to guess, but
Yeah, it looks like.
Anthony
Hold
Simons
on,
is
we're almost
interesting. I
there.
like that. I didn't that was not a name that I had on my radar, but you know,
We actually got 3 years of overlap there. So hey, maybe if Terry's like, he's clearly got an important voice in the organization now. So if Terry goes, hey, look, like I like this guy. I think he fits the system. If the front office can put together the pieces for it, might be the move.
I like that. I like that. A young guard, kind of explosive scorer. Jordan Poole-esque, obviously want to ring with a guy like Jordan Poole or with Jordan Poole, get another guy like him, maybe even better than what Jordan Poole was kind of ceiling it was here. So that's a fun one. I do like Levine, Matt. That was my kind of name that if I saw, I think the salary is obviously an issue, but you have him under contract. The only thing with Jimmy Butler is, he's a free agent next season, so you're gonna have to shell out the money, and you've got, Kuminga, assuming he, if he stays or goes, whatever that is. But yeah, Levine excites me. But if you tell me we can get Anthony Simons, Chuck, that's what does that package look like? It's like Looney, GP2, picks, and like Wiggins? No, because Wiggins makes more than
Uh, yeah, so it would be interesting. They could do it for Wiggins as the matching salary. Wiggins makes a little more, and the Warriors need to match 100% of salary, so they have to clear the 25 million, and Wiggins makes 29, so that money matches up. They could also try packaging a few role guys, like if they decide, look, we're good on the depth in the backcourt, especially if we get Anthony. So if they trade GP2, Melton, and Looney, that also gets them there. But I think also they would be able to get there if they did Melton, GP2, Lindy Waters, and Guy Santos. So there's a few different ways that they can get there
okay.
salary wise. I think that's what makes these kind of deals likelier is because when it's Levine, you immediately start doing the math and you're like, okay, it has to be this guy and it has to be this guy. And like with the Warriors cap sheet, there's only so many expendable pieces making the kind of money to match him. So that's why I think a guy who's still a star, but making a little bit less would be more likely because now with all these role player salaries they have, there's a lot of different ways they can get there.
Love it. Love it. All right, boys, we got the home stretch for these. I mean, we're rapid fire, but it's been fun kind of breaking these down. But the last three, man, most impactful new addition, best non-Steph or Draymond player, and the final one, Draymond suspensions. Is it how many? Is it happening? What we feeling, Matt? I know you got to head out here soon, man. So drop us your take and give us a prediction for your first 5 games of the season.
love it. Best non-Draymond Steph player. I'm gonna go Pods. I know this is it's actually not that odd. It kind of makes sense. The guy he is somehow like plus minus god already. Preseason with the highest plus minus by like 20 points. I'm pretty sure last year let's even plus minus. I think he's gonna play. Yeah, he's getting 24 to 28 minutes a game. He's gonna get all the starts when Steph is out. He's just a winning basketball player, man. And I don't think I saw some people complaining that during preseason, Pod looked the same as last year. I'm not going to jump into that, but if that's the case, that's good. To have a great rookie season and to replicate it in year two, it's not a bad thing. That means the shit you were doing was real, right? Because what happens with rookies, right? I'm not breaking news, right? You have your rookie season teams figure you out and you have to adjust. If Pods is able to have the same production and be similarly successful, that means this is a real basketball player. He's a good player. So I'm going Pods for best non-Steph Draymond player this year. The Warriors should be Kuminga. I just don't know where I am there. So I'm going with Pods. And as far as record prediction, is that what was next?
Next five.
Oh.
We might have lost Matt there. Well, we'll get his record.
Next five.
There he is.
Oh, wait. You hear me or no? Yeah, okay. Record prediction, first five. I'm going 5-0. They have a kick schedule. This team's not fucking around. I think they're going to start out 5-0. I'm rocking with it. This is not going to happen ever again this season. So whoever's listening, enjoy this prediction. It will not happen again. I will not predict this again. I will be wrong. And I will be jaded. So appreciate it here. Okay.
Love it. Hell yeah, Matt. See you on the next one, brother.
Good luck, boys.
The predictions. Chuck said we'll come here and close this one out, but same one, man. We got most impactful new addition, best non-Steph Dre player, suspensions for Draymond, but then record, and then just for the first five here. So let me pull up the schedule who we got. But
yeah, I got it. So it's
okay
at Portland, at Utah, and then they come home for Clippers, and then Pelicans on back-to-back nights. And we'll get to the record. So most impactful new addition. That one I'm pretty interested in, but I think it's going to be Kyle Anderson. I think the consistency he brings to that front court, the extra dimensions of playmaking and defense he brings together, he's going to be such a huge piece for fitting together a lot of these lineups. So I'm very in on the acquisition of Kyle Anderson. Honorable mention, I guess, I would go to Hield. The movement shooting is going to be huge. But yeah, I think Hield's right behind there in his impact. The best non-Steph and Draymond player. Pods was my initial reaction too, but I'm going to go with Kuminga. Like, with everything I've watched from this guy, he just seems to grow and grow with each passing game. I think he's going to pretty solidly put himself in the territory of being like a firm number 2 option by the end of the season. Maybe not the ideal one you want, but the one they have. And I hope we see a little growth from him on defense. He's got kind of a young player's disease of he's super engaged when he's on the ball defensively and completely disengaged off of it. So I'm hoping we see a little more consistency from him there. And had Draymond games suspended. Man, I think this kind of goes in tandem with my pick for the over-under we set of 1.5 Europeans attacked.
We know
I think
Gobert is going to be one at some point, so 1.5 is a fair.
Yeah, I could almost get to 2, but I think if 1 happens, he's going to have to lock down, or they're going to like suspend him for the rest of the season. So I think he still gets 1. And our bonus on the over-under in height of the European that he attacks, we set the line at 6 feet 10.5 inches. I'm going with the over because I think you're right. He's going to see Rudy and he's going to see Red and just do some crazy shit to him inevitably. So, yeah, 10 games for suspension, precisely 1 European attacked, and he will be a 7'4" guy named Rudolph.
I love it. And yeah, I mean, I'll start off with the suspensions. I think, man, I want to believe in Draymond, man. I'm gonna bet the under on this. I feel like after last year, come on, man. Like, if we got to have this whole conversation again, I don't know what the hell we're doing. But I'm gonna take him at his word that he's good, and this is the most important season for the 3rd straight year. But yeah, I'm gonna trust Draymond on this one. I'll go under. I'm sure he's gonna get suspended for something. Maybe just kind of jarring at the officials saying something. I don't know. There's going to be something, but I don't think it's going to result in something too crazy. So I think the Europeans are safe this year. My most impactful player, I think, is going to be – it was a toss-up between Kyle Anderson and Buddy Hield. I'm just going to go with Buddy Hield just because I think he's going to have the ability to break some of these games open with this shooting off the bench. The dude's a supernova, man, when he gets hot. And obviously, we miss Clay and love Clay for all the memories, but Buddy Hield's a pretty good replacement for a guy like Clay where he was in his career. I think Buddy kind of showed it in the preseason. So yeah, I think Buddy Hield definitely going to be a guy who's going to have Warrior Twitter going off on nights when he's hot. So I think impact wise, Buddy Hield's going to be up there by the end of the year. And most best Steph Dre, non-Steph Dre. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think it's Jim Kuminga. He's playing for a contract now. I think this is a huge year for him. If he balls out, it's an opportunity to get like a $200 million payday. And be the face of this franchise going forward. I think that's something he definitely wants. I think just him going to the media and talking about the type of player he is, I think he has confidence in who he's going to be as a player, and is going to look forward to showcasing that. We've seen the strides already, just with the shooting and consistency. So defensively, hopefully make some strides. He's going to get a lot of opportunities. So yeah, I think if Kuminga can take that next leap, we're looking at potentially the next super, franchise star. So I think Kuminga's got to be that guy if the Warriors want to be anywhere by the end of the season. Before we get out of here, Chuckster, first five, we got Matt with a 5-0. What are you feeling with that 5-game lineup that you threw out earlier?
Who at 5-0 is tempting, especially with Kawhi looking unlikely for that game. The Pelicans are a little banged up too, and I mean, Portland, Utah, whatever. 5-0 is so tempting, but I think they're going to lose one of those New Orleans games, so I'm going to go 4-1. But still, I mean, the schedule's set up pretty nicely. You want to catch these teams like the Clippers and the Pelicans when they're below full health, and anytime you can play Portland and Utah is going to be a good thing for this team. So, yeah, I'm sticking with 4-1. I can't believe I'm being outflanked in positivity by Matt. That's fucking crazy, dude.
Maybe we got something special cooking this year, man. Who knows? I'm going 5-0, man.
Of course,
I'm
of
with
course.
you. I'm with you. I wouldn't be shocked if it was 4-1, but either one of those would be good. I think get off to a good start. Like you said, these are games that if this team is who we think they are, they should win at least four, if not all five of them. Just with what this roster and this team's look like. I think that's definitely a possibility. So I'm gonna go 5-0. Get off to a good start and get the season going, man. 10 years to the first championship. Would be sick if they can close it off with number 5 this year. Before we get out of here, Chuckster, obviously season starting up. How's the content look, man? You got anything to shout out?
Yeah, we are putting the finishing touches on the first piece of the season. I'm gonna get back to the grindstone after we wrap up here. Try to get this out for the people this week. So keep an eye out. You may not be a Charlotte Hornets watcher, but I got a piece coming on Trey Mann, who's I think going to make a case for one of the most exciting young players in the NBA. Nice. My dog just dropped a ball clean off the balcony, and it is gone forever. Good job, Sophie. Yeah, keep an eye out for that coming out in the next few days on theswishtheory.com, as always.
Love it, man. Content's coming. As always, guys, thanks for listening. Keep following us. Definitely going to be making some moves on getting some guests here as the season kicks off. Looking forward to, talking dubs, talking hoops, breaking everything down this season. Got a good one, man. Season kicks off tomorrow against Portland. We will definitely be recording in the next week or so. But till the next one, guys. Peace.